Lonely CEO heard, "May we have your leftovers," from twin little girls, then he saw the eyes. The sound cut through the noise of the city like a knife through silk, soft yet sharp enough to wound. In a world of clinking glasses, low laughter, and the steady hum of wealth on display, the request came from below eye level, fragile and almost apologetic. A lonely CEO, surrounded by abundance yet starving in ways money could not fix, looked down and saw not hands reaching for food first, but eyes too old for such small faces, eyes that carried hunger, fear, and a quiet dignity that stopped his breath and shifted something deep inside his chest. Before this story truly begins, take a moment. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the idea that one small act can change many lives, please like this video, comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel, Single Dad Diaries. Your support keeps stories like this alive, stories that remind us who we really are. The CEO had not always been lonely, though loneliness had slowly wrapped itself around his life like fog rolling in unnoticed until everything disappeared. His days were filled with glass towers, boardrooms, and decisions that moved millions of dollars without moving his heart at all. He had built an empire from discipline and sacrifice, believing that success would eventually bring warmth, purpose, and peace. Instead, it brought silence. Long dinners alone, penthouse windows overlooking a city that never slept, and nights where the echo of his own footsteps felt louder than applause ever had. On this particular evening, he sat in an upscale restaurant, the kind where portions were small, prices were large, and leftovers were common simply because people ordered more than they needed. His plate still held half a perfectly prepared meal. He had lost his appetite the way he had lost many things, slowly, without noticing, until one day it was simply gone. His thoughts drifted, as they often did, to memories he avoided. A childhood without stability, a father who disappeared early, a mother who worked herself into exhaustion and then into an early grave. He told himself that becoming powerful meant becoming untouchable, but power had not protected him from emptiness. That was when the twins appeared. They were small, maybe 6 or 7 years old, their jackets thin for the cold night air, hair tied neatly but clearly cared for by hands that tried their best with very little. They stood close together, not just because they were twins, but because the world had taught them that standing alone was dangerous. They did not rush or beg. They waited. And when the moment came, they asked for leftovers not with greed, but with humility, as if even asking was a burden they hated placing on anyone else. The CEO noticed the restaurant go quiet in subtle ways. Averted eyes. Stiff shoulders. The practiced discomfort of people who wanted the problem to disappear without them having to face it. He could have done the same. He had done the same before, in other forms, in other moments. But then he really looked at the girls, and that was when everything changed. Their eyes held a strange contradiction, hope and resignation living side by side. They were not surprised by rejection, yet they still believed in the possibility of kindness. It was the look of children who had learned too early how to survive without losing their humanity. That look reached into the CEO's carefully guarded heart and pulled out something he thought had died years ago. He did not hand them food and turn away. Instead, he stood, aware of how unusual that simple movement felt. In that moment, his tailored suit, his success, his carefully built identity felt irrelevant. What mattered was the ache in his chest and the undeniable truth that these two children needed more than leftovers. They needed to be seen. The next hours unfolded quietly but powerfully. The twins ate with a careful slowness, not because they were not hungry, but because they were used to stretching moments of relief. The CEO learned, not through direct questions but through observation and shared silence, that their mother was gone, lost to illness and unpaid hospital bills. Their father existed only as a shadow of broken promises. They lived with an elderly grandmother who loved them fiercely but could not always protect them from hunger or cold. Life had shrunk their world down to survival. Driving home that night, the city looked different. Every streetlight illuminated not just roads, but unseen stories. Every corner held lives he had walked past for years without truly noticing. The twins' eyes followed him, not literally, but emotionally, staying with him as he entered his empty apartment. The quiet felt unbearable. For the first time in a long time, loneliness did not feel like a personal failing but like a call to action. Days passed, then weeks. The CEO found himself returning to the same streets, the same neighborhoods he once avoided because they reminded him of where he came from. He arranged support quietly at first, food, school supplies, warmth, but soon realized that charity alone was not enough. The twins did not need a savior who appeared and vanished. They needed stability. They needed consistency. They needed someone who stayed. This realization terrified him. Commitment had always been the one risk he avoided outside of business. People left. People disappointed. Loving something meant giving it the power to break you. Yet the alternative, doing nothing, felt worse. The emptiness he carried had been self-inflicted, built brick by brick through emotional distance. Now, those bricks were cracking. As he became more involved in the twins' lives, he faced challenges he could not solve with money alone. Trust took time. Trauma did not disappear because circumstances improved. Nightmares came. Fear lingered. The girls flinched at raised voices, even when none were directed at them. They learned to hide food instinctively, afraid abundance might vanish. Watching this hurt him in ways no business loss ever had. He also confronted his own past. Supporting them meant revisiting his childhood wounds, the hunger he once knew, the nights his mother pretended she was not tired so he would not worry. He saw himself in the twins, not as he was now, but as he had been. And for the first time, he allowed himself to grieve, not just for them, but for the boy he once was. Change came slowly, imperfectly. There were setbacks. Moments of doubt. Times he wondered if he was strong enough to be what these children needed. But there were also small victories. Laughter that filled rooms once silent. School achievements proudly displayed. The simple miracle of shared meals eaten without fear. The lonely CEO was lonely no longer, though his life did not become easier in the way people imagine. It became fuller. Messier. More demanding. And infinitely more meaningful. Years later, when the twins stood taller, their eyes still deep but now bright with confidence, the CEO understood something profound. That night in the restaurant was not about leftovers. It was about being chosen by fate to respond differently. It was about recognizing that success without compassion is just another form of poverty. If this story is touching your heart, if you feel that quiet ache that reminds you of your own humanity, please take a moment now to like this video, comment, and share it with someone who believes that kindness still matters. Subscribe to Single Dad Diaries to support stories that remind us love can grow in the most unexpected places. As the story comes to a close, remember this. The world is full of unseen eyes waiting to be noticed. You may not change the entire world, but you can change someone's world, and sometimes that is everything. Before you leave, we have a special request. Please comment below and tell us what this story made you feel, or share a moment when kindness changed your life. Your words may inspire someone who needs hope today.